Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey guys, Hefe here with the Able Shepherd Program. On this next episode of the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham, we wanted to take a second and share a conversation that Skip and I had, just kind of free micing in the Centennial Gun Club campus. The topic that came up was all training leads to somewhere. We say that regularly, but what does it actually mean? So that opened a road for us to have a discussion. And upon kind of filming that and just kind of going through all the equipment, having that discussion, the guys were like, "Hey, our team needs to hear that because we don't know that we've put that out in quite that way." So it came out really good. If you got any questions about it, please hit us up. We always want to hear about your topics. But Skip and I sit down and talk about all training leads to somewhere, and what exactly does that mean? Check it out. I hope you like it.
This concept of all training leads somewhere. What do you mean by that?
So all training leads to somewhere means that, if you've never been to level 10, how would you know that what you're teaching falls apart at level 4? Mm-hmm. Meaning, and this is a great example. People say, I've got an AR, what should I put on it? And I'm like, well, what are you asking it to do?
What do you want it to do?
Because if you're talking about protecting people in your neighborhood and you live in suburbia, that's a different setup than I'm trekking across Kansas with my family. Now we're talking about maybe change the caliber, get some optics, do all this longer distances. It means in our program, as you know, that the Hefe package is a 5.56 caliber AR pistol. The reason it's a 10.5-inch barrel is because it makes it very easy to get in and out of a vehicle under stress. And even the way that we have the slung stowed, it's S-folded, it's a special way that it's folded, and it is retained by one of these. Now this is a wristband that says take care of one another, but it's also, the reason we ordered them is because that's what secures your sling to where when you get out of a vehicle, and if you have a 2-point sling, which we don't recommend, it gets hung up on that the adjustment for the seat, or you rip off the wiper, whatever lever, all that kind of stuff. Is once you've done that, you realize this needs to be set up a different way. Say I've got an AR slung and I'm using it, and I need to do a medical assistance or need to pick up a child or something like that. Where does it go? Well, that's weapons catch. So all of this stuff ties together. Most people that I've seen, respectfully, most trainers have been to level 2 or 3. And that's why they're teaching. And then once we get to level 4 or 5, we're like, that whole thing falls apart.
It just
all
breaks
training
down.
means somewhere means, let's go do it. Let's go do the thing. My background, the SEAL teams, and with the agency's GRS program, we would go do scenarios, and that dictates your training. So the tail doesn't wag the dog. It's like, well, because I said so falls apart. But because, we jokingly say, if you're shooting in the dark and you've got a certain flashlight, why do you have that flashlight? Because it was on sale. That's a bad answer.
Really bad answer.
A good answer would be, when the lights go out, I shoot really well with it. I can do mag changes, I can shoot, I can pulse on and off, so I can move under the cover of darkness, get it back on and shoot accurately. That's a good answer.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, it leads us somewhere.
Yeah, I think that, when, especially when you get into that protective, the third leg, the protective tactics part of the Able Shepherd program, when you do that kind of a thing against live humans, you learn really fast what works and what doesn't work.
Correct.
Because you're actually doing it.
Right.
So that protective part, the protective tactics, kind of like you said, the scenarios that you do in that really kind of says whether what you're doing works or doesn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So like reality has to drive training. It can't, like I said, can't be tail wagging the dog. So one of my favorites is there's pistol postures out there with a flashlight, and one of them is like this over-under grip. Well, as you know, because we do this, if it's in the dark and I run over and just bear hug you or push up against you, it locks your arms and you can't strike, nor can you shoot. So you look at me with these eyes of, if I had hands, I would hit you. And I'm like, well, you don't have hands.
But you don't have.
Right. So that, in one instant, you learn this is not a good grip. Mm-hmm. However, if you look at flashlight techniques on the internet, for the past 15 years, these have been the same tactics taught over and over and over again. Why? Because there was never an adversary. So the simunition, that reality-based training, lets us learn this is not good.
It doesn't work.
I can't hit, I can't shoot. Yep. This has got to go away. Get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, I say, the best way to do it, these neural pathways, go do it. Mess up, get better. So when I say all training leads to somewhere, I mean there are people out there, literally billions of dollars for many, many years, that have developed tactics saying, we proved a long time ago that never worked. You never came along. We're inviting you now. Come along. Let's capitalize and let's get better on all of these tactics, skills, these experiences, all of this stuff that, quite frankly, our tax dollars have paid for. They've paved the way, meaning the elite level folks that we absolutely respect, though we may not be in that same environment, the principles are the same. The lessons learned are invaluable when it comes to defending our families.
Awesome. When you talk about, so how does that aspect of all training leads to somewhere? How does that apply to, I just bought a gun and I'm just really interested in making sure I don't do anything unsafe with it?
Sure.
So how does it apply to that person?
It means that you are going to start at the same place that everybody else starts, initial training. You're going to start learning safely how to manipulate this firearm. How does it work? How do I handle it? How do I load it, unload it, reload it, all of that. When we talk about protective tactics, how do I stand? And we're not trying to insult anyone, but if I could tell you the amount of calls that we get and say, well, I get it, you've got a progressive program and everybody starts here. I was a SEAL team guy.
Yeah.
I was a SWAT team guy. I was in the Army, I was in the Navy. It doesn't really matter, respect, support all of them. What it does mean is you've never done it this way.
Correct.
So now there's gonna be conflicts and there's gonna be contradictions. It means that we need to be uniform, safe, and accurate. So you're gonna start here and progress. Why? Because we've seen into the future. We know that in 6 months, you're gonna be firing on all cylinders with everybody. Now, if you've handled a firearm and that's been in your background, it's probably gonna come more natural to you and you're gonna fly right through. You may need some additional drills, you may not, but you're still gonna do all the steps. Why? Because now you're the same as that guy and that lady and that guy, whatever. That's how you make a team. So if you make it, the old adage, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. Okay, if everybody's on the same page and it's strong, you can do 1-person entries, 2-person, 5-person, 15-person entries. It stays the same. Mm-hmm. But if one person is off, all of a sudden that's the wild card, that's the liability, that's the guy that zigged when he should have zagged and it becomes unsafe. That's what we got to get rid of.
And even for the people that are not going to potentially or don't enter this entire CGC kind of like training regimen, that maybe aren't going to get all the way there, but they still need to be uniform, safe, and accurate. They still need to have this progressive training program to be safe on a range.
That's right.
We all have to do the same thing.
I'm a recreational shooter. I just want to compete.
Yep.
Should you be safe? I should. Okay, then initial training. Let's start you off safely, give you the fundamentals, and if you want to speed those up and shoot at competition targets, by all means do so. But the guy next to you who's training to defend his family will be doing the same thing you're doing. He's just not shooting at pop-up targets. He's shooting at a silhouette, whatever. The person that goes through and says, I carry a firearm and I do this as a volunteer for a church security team, but I've never done that. Well, that's not okay, because you just said by joining that team that you're the guy that can do it, but you've never done it. That's not fair. That's not responsible. You're saying that I can go down the hallway with a firearm in my hand and fire potentially around children. But you've never done that. With the no-shoot scenarios, you're saying you can do it, but you've never done it. That's the part we need to address, because test day for the very first time ever is going to be with live children in the room, and it's just not okay.
That's not okay. Jimmy, how long so you started in the SEAL teams, when did you start?
95. Halloween, 1995. Young Jimmy Graham went off to boot camp.
Okay.
So and 16 was Buds.
Okay, and then when did you start training people? What year?
Okay, so probably, I'm guessing 2003.
2003.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been 17 years.
Yeah.
Having worked with you for a little bit, this progressive training program that we do in Able Shepherd, and that is now being offered at Centennial Gun Club through their 4 pillars of safety, of your safety. Yep. It's that progressive nature that's always been there, right? That's the background that it comes from, right? It's like that's how you train people with firearms.
Right.
It's right from the very beginning. That's how it's been done.
That's right.
It's kind of unusual out here in the civilian world. Like, talk to me about the difference between that kind of progressive training program and that kind of one and done. I did this thing once and I'm good.
Right.
That kind of thing.
We felt called to lead this. So just to back up a little bit, in 2012, my wife and I started a company, a training company. Legally put in the paperwork and did all that, and we're in the process of leaving that protective officer for the CIA, the GRS program. In the time that we started that, I was deploying to Libya. The Benghazi attack happened between my second and third deployment. to Libya. When we got back, we said, hey, this is the time to launch this thing. You know, we need to, we see a big gap, and exactly what you just said. There is training that I see pretty much everywhere. If you look at these training programs, for the most part, and I haven't seen them all, but most of them I've seen at a gun club, at a shooting range, and all that stuff, it's the NRA material massaged this way or that, but it's pretty much the same stuff. Basic, advanced, tactical. What does tactical means? I don't know, I made that up. Tactical. What the instructor made up becomes the curriculum.
Right.
Okay. So if you're starting from zero, you're so far behind. Why? Because now we're talking active shooter. We're talking about going out and doing this stuff. And we're talking about there's a group of people that have been doing this for 20 plus years, meaning protecting people in overseas environments where the threat is surrounding. If the threat's outside, how do we protect individuals? Now, let's take them out of an embassy. Let's take them out of a, you know, some kind of a building overseas and put it over a school. It's the exact same principles, maybe different tools, not belt-fed machine guns, not grenade launchers, but pistols. And saying the threat now isn't called Al-Qaeda, it's called an active shooter in a school. It's the same principles, but the thing is that we've talked about this extensively. When you do something for a living, it's just changes. It means when you come in every day and do something for a living, you make a lot of progress. It means all you think about, it's all you do, and you just keep moving and moving, moving. So when I came into this scene, when I came into this industry, I didn't look around and see what everybody else was doing. Maybe for scale, maybe for demographics, maybe to study the competition, so to speak, but why would I look there when it's old material? I've been doing this for a living, and I just said, hey, listen, there are people that came before me, that have served before me, that entrusted me with these skills, with these experiences, with these stories. We call it lessons learned in blood. It means this is responsible information. This is that came from somewhere bigger than me. I wanted to share that with the community. Now, we have proven up until this disruption, obviously with COVID-19, you know, that not only was this possible, it's powerful. Meaning the community that was formed out of that is a big, big deal. That it tapped into something that is in this guy, it's in the two guys sitting behind the camera, and people said, hey, this is me too. I'm a protector, and we created the protector culture. I just wrote a thing that should have went out today in an email, basically stating that then we got hit with a faceless enemy called coronavirus. I had no idea, but we were training for that too. So now this community has stood through this attack where people are, whatever, and businesses are being decimated. I got another call today basically saying, we're here, we're with you, let's keep going. Last night I got an email from a doctor. He's an amazing guy. He served in special operations and all that stuff. One of the best compliments that I've ever heard was he said, I feel more capable now to defend my family and my life than I did when I was on leave during active duty. That's huge. That basically says that was the goal the whole time, is to say that now we have people in a real life crisis, not the one that we expected.
Right.
Couldn't have expected this.
Very different.
In a real life crisis, our members are more capable and feel better about protecting, taking care of one another, meaning their families and their communities. That's been the goal all the time. So what we see, the nation sees as, oh my goodness, we see as a huge success. So I kind of needed to hear that last night as you see no classes and what appears to be your business that you've worked for the past 7 going on 8 years deteriorating before your eyes. Then you get reminded it worked.
Right.
We're just getting started. So that was a good thing for me to see.
You know, one of the things that take care of, we've always been saying this, take care of one another, it's our motto.
Yep.
It also, and in the good times, that means we're having fun and we're training together and we're learning new things and we're taking care of one another. And in bad times, this bad time doesn't look like we maybe thought it would.
Right.
But the community part of it, to take care of one another, I know people are constantly, they are calling, emailing, texting each other, constantly checking up on each other. It's easy in this particular time to kind of get isolated at your house, and then you're like, it's just me and my wife or my kids or whatever it is. But no, you've got this huge community.
Yeah.
And that so yes, it doesn't look like we maybe thought it might have, but this is a challenging time where the community is making a huge difference for every single member of this community. I think that's the key thing, is that, yeah, it might not look, we can't shoot COVID-19,
right?
But and it's not shooting at us.
We can fight it.
But we can fight it because as a community.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what one of the biggest assets we have right now is that community. Now, I didn't realize this from 2012 on, and I just said this last night in the email, is that we thought it was going to be an overnight success, and it wasn't.
Right.
You know, like I said, the first 6 years was just treading water, but we were blessed nonstop with relationships. Not dollar bills, which would have been nice, but with relationships.
Both would have been cool.
The cool thing is that they never went anywhere. So now that it has taken a turn and that we were doing better and it was paying the bills and it was growing and those people didn't go anywhere. I still have all of those relationships, and now it's actually paying the bills. So we haven't shared kind of a battle story together. Jimmy has, Rachel has, hard times, not having enough money, but Abel Shepherd hasn't.
Right.
Till now.
Till now.
So now, like I just told Neil Pinkham, the sage,
Yep.
if he's watching, is that just makes for a better story.
Right.
Like I'm handling COVID-19 so much differently because of the community. I'm like, bring it.
Yep.
We're okay.
Yeah, like, right now we are realistically living through like history with a capital H.
That's right.
And we will all look back on this years from now. And I think one of the things that we will really remember is how much our community helped us in this trying time.
That's right. When people say, where were you? What did you do? Just like 9/11 is like during COVID-19, what did you do? We thrived. That's literally like, yes, was it anxious watching,
Sure.
Revenues being hit and a freeze for 2 weeks and all that? Absolutely. But remember what happened with the people. That's the thing that I think is going to, once the fall, I've heard it called the fall.
Right.
Once the fall
Okay.
hits, that we are going to blast through any ground that we ever, maintained, established before, and then keep going.
Awesome. Thanks, Jimmy.
Cheers. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this last episode. It is Easter weekend. I'm at my house. For those checking out the video, I'm in the backyard. Thank you to my lovely assistant.
You're welcome.
And camera holder, you're doing a great job. Want to remind everybody to just take a second. I'm going to try to gear down a little bit this weekend. We've been at it all week. Thank you to my team. And take a second to be thankful. Just take this weekend to be thankful, and just give thanks that we serve a risen God, and remember what this is all about. As we gear up to kind of structure the business, we are chomping at the bit to get going again, and then also rebuilding our nation. So please do the same. Enjoy this time. This is a gift with your family as we get ready to relaunch the program. We're ready to hit it hard, get back to what we do, and preparing you to take care of yourselves and everyone you love. So love you guys. Enjoy this down weekend. Do something fun, do something cool in the open air. Obviously, I think it's going to rain or snow on Easter Day, but find a way to celebrate your family. And again, the fact that we do serve a risen God, and we're excited about that, and we're ready to get back to doing what we do. Love you guys. God bless, and take care of one another.